I want to start, before I give you the word and the stage, I met David in March in Prague because we were both speaking at a conference. It was called the Engineering Leadership Conference, right? It's a great community in Prague that is built by Marian. And I was really fascinated. There was 300 people in leadership positions or wanting to go to leadership, and hearing from people like David about your story in all the different amazing companies you worked with, right? I mean, you will, without spoiling the beans, but some of them are in your abstract as well, whether it's Amazon, whether it's SpaceX, whether it's Netflix, and everything you've learned. I was really also curious though, because for those of you that are advancing towards a leadership role, I really like that community, so check it out. It's Engineering Leadership Community in Prague. I know Prague is not around the corner, but still it's not too far away. But when they have their meetups and their conferences, they also always have, next to the regular keynotes or the regular sessions, coaching sessions with other leaders like David, right? Because we can learn a lot. You made it from engineer to CTO. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff to learn. Thank you so much for being here in Vienna. Absolutely. You said the company that you're currently CTO for is actually, you have an office close by? Yeah, we are offering the service here. Anybody knows Gurkr? Online grocery. Excellent. There's at least 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's where I work right now, Rohde Group, and we are offering services in Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Romania as well. Perfect. So we started the conference with Ali, who gave us some really cool inspiration. For me, the thing that stuck, and I repeat it because I mentioned this in the morning as well, what stuck to me most was his quote, "We're all unique, we're all individuals, we want to stay unique and don't become a copy of somebody else. We need to find our path, our focus, our passion, and then pursue that path." And obviously in times of AI, we sometimes question what it really means for us. But I think hopefully you have learned a lot of things over the last 2 days, learned a lot of new cool technology insights about in all these breakouts. But now, David, thank you so much. And I know not only do you give this presentation, but you also encourage people to ask questions later on. Absolutely. So we first hear from your story, your lessons learned, and then we go into Q&A. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. All right, then good afternoon, everybody. It's really great pleasure for me to be here. I love Vienna, love Austria. I can't wait for the skiing season, so I will be here much more often. And yeah, it was really funny when we met with Andy. I was surprised. I had no idea that you work in Linz, because I actually studied in Linz for 1 year. So yeah, it's really my kind of country very close to my heart. So I delivered this talk a few months ago, and this is one of the softer talks about more kind of like a personal story rather than the tech story. But there are many experiences I was fortunate enough to experience with various companies. And my biggest learning, actually, I try to put it in the title, every experience open another horizon, because what as I mentioned, I was fortunate to experience many companies, and from each company I try to take something with me. So this talk will be about what I took from the companies. But a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in the city of Zlín, which is about 3 hours north from here. Have 3 kids. Actually, the funny story is that I left many years ago for US to work for Microsoft, alone, single man, and return with a wife, actually from Zlín as well, but with 3 kids. So that is a big piece of my personal story as well. Lived in Zlín, Prague, Seattle, Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, and love to cook, love to fish. I love to bike and also ski in the winter. What I learned most importantly, and I will talk about it more, is really what matters most is the culture. Because culture, as there's, I believe the saying, I believe I have it somewhere there, the culture, it's strategy for breakfast, and I can totally confirm that. And what I learned is really that values are what we value. That was in our Netflix culture deck, and it really resonated with me, because if I'm working on something, if I don't have a passion for what I work on, and if I don't understand how I'm contributing to the company, it never works, and typically it led to my departure. So wanted to start with this, that this is my kind of overarching thing, what attracts me and why I'm staying some companies. So it's been a little bit over 20 years since I joined Microsoft many years ago. It was in the Czech Republic at the time. It was less than 100 people, very small, tiny office. And then I went through internal ranks. I relocated to Seattle and was really fortunate to work for Amazon, Netflix, SpaceX, Kiwi.com in the Czech Republic, Shipmonk, or Rohde Group now. So as I mentioned here, those are really infinite lessons, and we'll share a bit here. So how did I get to Microsoft? I believe even though for me, Microsoft, when I joined it, it was a really large company. I was one of many people working on the campus. When my dad or when my parents arrived, he actually asked me, these people, they can't even know what they are working on. And sometimes you really felt like, yeah, I'm just one, this tiny piece in this whole kind of in this whole kind of orchestrated mass of people. But for me, it was really important to take the first step. As I mentioned, started with Microsoft in Prague, but during one meeting, I just raised my hand that I would be interested in relocating to Seattle, in working from US, and it just happened. So my first lesson was that if you don't share what you want to achieve, if you don't share what you want to do, nobody can help you because they don't actually know. So I just raised my hand. And I mentioned when I was at Microsoft, I had, I would say, very standard role. It was called something like a program manager 2 or something like this. But what really changed my perception and what I learned that I can actually make a dent was when I participated on something what was called Think Week. Bill Gates, at the time he was still active at Microsoft, he had this Think Week, and anybody could submit the paper on any technical topics, on any topics that could improve the company. And at those days, it's kind of funny now. I wrote a paper about building a solution for machine translating using for crowdsourcing translation and using some machine translation on top of that. Today, I mean, you can use AI or many tooling that will just instantly translate anything. But at those days, I actually received feedback directly from Bill Gates saying that, yeah, it's really a good solution and you should connect with this or that group. So I really felt encouraged to take a next steps in my career and make sure that I can actually make sure that I will always aim for something impactful, something bigger than what I was doing. So I really started to be excited about the future, and that's was actually pushing me forward. What is there exciting for me? What I want to work on? What's the next big thing? And today you probably know it's really pretty much everything about AI. After a couple of years with Microsoft, I got a LinkedIn message from Amazon. It was in very early days. I believe it was one of the very early profiles there, and they actually contacted me. And what was really interesting is because when I wrote my paper about the blogs, at the same time I started to be interested in startups as well. We actually, with my wife and a friend of mine, we started this Nalog.cz. Doesn't work anymore, but it was the first Czech marketplace for farmers markets, for farms. You can actually order some farmers' produce. And what was really interesting, when I was doing the interview at Amazon, most of the questions they asked me was not about my Microsoft experience, my school, but it was about why I decided to build Nalog.cz, because they just saw it in my LinkedIn that it's my hobby project. They ask me, where do I see the business model, or why did I chose such technical stack or that technical stack. So it was really interesting to learn for the first time that your professional experience matters, but your experience from outside of your work matters as well. So I'm always encouraging people, tell the world what you do, tell the world what you are interested in, because it can be sure side project or maybe a side startup that you are contributing to, or it can be something else. And in today's world, people are really or companies, what I can see, are really interested in builders, in people that want to really achieve something and can really own the delivery. How did I scaled up my value at Amazon? I took the job of technical program manager for engineering operational excellence. I know it's super long title, and it didn't fit even into my email signature at the time. But it was really amazing experience. I want to say coincidence, but I really don't believe in coincidence, that I was able to take this role, because in this role, in this job, my role was to actually observe how more than 600 engineering teams are performing, how many incidents they are having, and if they are increasing or decreasing this number of incidents. And based on that, we ask them, okay, so what did you do that you are suddenly having so many incidents, that you are seeing so many failures in your services? Or some teams did something, and after a couple of months of evaluations, we learned, oh, they actually dropped the number of incidents. So we learned, okay, what are the best practices that you prevented these incidents from? And not only I was able to capture all of these best practices and turn it into engineering operational excellence training and best practices that we actually build a training out of it, but it really helped me to understand how these large-scale engineering teams are organized, how they are operating, how they are delivering their value. And fun fact, at those days, the executive sponsor of this program, of this engineering operational excellence, was Andy Jassy, who is currently CEO of Amazon. So I can always say now that I worked for 1 year or 1 year and a half, at least, directly with Andy Jassy. We are presenting him with our findings and learnings. Fun fact about experience at Amazon. Amazon has this values. I believe they have this leadership principles, it's called. And one of the principles is frugality, right? Really not wasting your money, resources, etc. And what I learned is that leaders at Amazon are really living these values, not only leaders, but also team members, because when we had our monthly meeting, we were presenting the findings about the engineering teams that improved or did not improve on the printed set of papers. There was about like 30 papers, so yeah, you can argue why we would need to print it. Amazon is really heavy on printing these 6-pagers or documents. And as we printed this, it was 30 to 40 pages. We decided to put it into this plastic folders just to have it nice and distributed for the leadership team. And they just took it. I was like, nice, but why did you have to spend this, I don't know, couple of cents for this folder? So they were really frugal to their to the point that even this kind of tiny spend was there. So really, if you have your leadership principles, you really live it. And one fun fact I also included here, because my presentation in Prague, it was about how to scale your value. I also included how you can see the scale of the company value. So at the right top corner of my presentation, you can always see when I joined the company, what was the market value and what is the market value now. It was a couple of months ago, so maybe this could have even moved. But yeah, this always reminds me that building really big business is typically for the long run, and you can be really surprised sometimes. I wish I didn't sell all my stocks, but it's also nice to retrospectively sometimes look into it. So this was Amazon, and thanks to a recommendation from my former colleague that I actually work with at Amazon, I got to Netflix. And Netflix, for me, it will always be probably one of the best company I had experience in, because when I joined it, it was really tiny, kind of boutique time of engineering place. When I joined, there was about 500 engineers. The value of Netflix when I joined them, it was smaller than what Rohlik Group is today, and really interesting to see their culture and engineering principles from the basically the front seat. Probably you heard about the engineering culture, their deck, or they actually published a book. I believe it's called No Rules or something like that. And it was really amazing to experience this in, I would say, still early days in my career, because I came to a company where there was, in those days, unlimited vacation, unheard of. There was the travel policy was pay as much as you need or as you would on the personal trip. There was I love their paternity or maternity leave policy. Take care of yourself and your baby and then come back. So people were taking paternity leaves for over a year, etc. So it was really this concept of the freedom and responsibility. All of it, what I mentioned, all these nice things came with the responsibility, because on the other hand, we had no performance improvement plans, or we had no kind of discussions. If you see that somebody is not a player or they are not performing, they were typically gone the next day, respectfully, but gone. And what I learned technically there, it was in very early days, 2012, so cloud computing was just taking off, and I was able to have a first-hand experience with the adoption of AWS at a really large scale. We were at those days where the load balancers were not working properly. We had to work almost daily with Amazon to figure it out. We had to figure out how we can deal with limits on the S3 service, that our encoded videos were larger than the maximum limits. And it was really amazing times to adopt this cloud technology and be part of the our team was called Cloud Solutions team, so you can name it as in the previous sessions like the platform team. So very early days of the platform team, and I don't know, anybody knows or use Spinnaker here from Netflix, open source? Perfect, at least one, yeah. So that was actually the team that when I joined them, they built Asgard, and then they turned onto the Spinnaker, and it's heavily used even today. Even though I learned a lot at Netflix about the cloud technologies and how to really build distributed teams. As I mentioned, my biggest learning was that culture eats strategy for breakfast, because at Netflix you can really see how important it is to have the right culture in place, because you can talk about trainings for high performing people and making sure you invest into development, but if you don't have the right culture, if you don't have the right mindset, it never works, never helps. So at Netflix, I believe it's still a great blueprint for how the culture should be organized for the high-performing companies. Then I joined SpaceX. I had a really funny discussion with VP of talent or HR at Netflix when I announced my departure, because she actually told me, oh, if you were leaving for Facebook or Google, I would just say, hey, just stay here. It will be more fun here, but launching rockets, can you take me with you? So it was a no-brainer. I never was interested in going into the space programs, but I received this email or LinkedIn message. Actually, all of my jobs I received over LinkedIn. That's really fun part of it. And the title was, do you want to help us land a person on Mars? And they literally meant it. From the day one until my last day at SpaceX 4 years later, everything was about like the mission to Mars. Sure, we were building supply vehicles for International Space Station, or they were building the Starlink, but all of it is supporting their mission to land a person on Mars and make humanity multiplanetary. The biggest thing that resonated with me at SpaceX was that you really need to be competent, you really need to go into the details to really understand your domain. There was basically you working on this one specific thing and nobody else. So if it doesn't work, they typically would come to you. If you are delayed with your project, it's up to you to do that, deliver it over the weekend. So my biggest project that I really owned towards a successful deployment was the autonomous flight termination system. Just to imagine what it was. If the rocket is flying, it usually has a calculated trajectory. If it's off the trajectory, autonomous flight termination system will blow it up. Before we had this, we had such system. It was Air Force that was controlling a red button they could press and detonate the rocket, but it was very expensive and really hard to schedule everything. With the autonomous systems, the rockets can fly as often as you want. So what was really cool about this, that not only I had to work with the software team as a kind of internal product manager, but also was responsible for the external certification of the software side with FAA or Air Force to really make sure we can launch it. So basically, the idea of this complete ownership of the successful delivery of such project was really something that I took from SpaceX and really tried to apply it anywhere. Whatever I own, I really want to own it for a successful finish. You don't need to execute everything, but you need to own the success. And probably one of the famous quote from Elon Musk is you really need to get to the first principles, because if you don't get to the first principles, how things works together from the mathematical perspective, from the physics perspective or chemistry perspective, you are basically reusing what somebody else built. But if you are really pushing the innovation towards the edge, you really need to understand how it works at the first place. And then after many years in US, I made it back to the Czech Republic, and I joined a logistics company called Shipmonk. Was really interesting because many people were asking me from the rockets and space research to go to logistic company, but really it was one of my first opportunities to experience what does it take to lead almost like today it's more than $1 billion company from the top. How to basically navigate the mass of so many people and how to make sure that you align the product development with the business objectives of the company. So again, experience the kind of business and tech scaling company from the front seat was really unique. Before that, I was always involved in the more individual contributor roles. Now it was really this big, and being able to experience tech due diligence when there was acquisition of part of the Shipmonk by the external investor or acquisition of the external company was really amazing and great days. Plus, I also had to help during the peak season. So this is me picking stuff for our customers. And my current experience at the Rohlik Group, I believe we are just getting started. Again, it wasn't from the LinkedIn anymore, but I got a recommendation from a friend. And I take it not only as a mission at Rohlik, but it's really a huge opportunity for me and pretty much for every one of us to really reinvent how we do software engineering, how we build software products. And it's basically an opportunity to participate on the biggest tech transformation of our times. I really thought for my lifetime it will be the cloud computing, but yeah, yet another experience. So learning is like, how do we reinvent product development, product engineering? How do we reinvent engineering itself? And also yourself, because many of the theses how we used to work before, you cannot apply anymore. The product managers are shipping you merge requests. AI is writing some of your code. There are many implications on your platform services. So there are many things that we yet to have to develop, but it's really amazing just to be part of it. And here, actually, it's my first day, because on the first day you have to experience the courier experience to actually deliver the grocery to your customers. So amazing. So yeah, one of the key takeaways is be ready to, I put it, AI reinvent yourself and your role, because it's not only about the role will evolve, but what I see as the major kind of difficult problem is to do the mind shift of people, to really reinvent yourself, your colleagues, to be able to take the next roles. And as a quick summary, so how did I got from city of Zlín to here today? Just keep working on what you have passion for, focus on the tangible results, meaning that you actually move the needle, you actually deliver something. Dive deep, understand what you are working on, have fun, and be a good human. That was actually a kind of motto of the school my kids attended when we lived in US, and I really believe that it's more important than ever, because if we are not good humans, it doesn't matter what we are working on. So thank you. Here is my contact, and I'm ready for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Yeah, I've heard the story twice now. Right? It's always fascinating, though, to see how you evolved from a software engineer in the Czech Republic to then make it over to the pond, because we all believe the Silicon Valley is the only great region where you can build great software. You've shown, obviously, that we can also build great software here in our region. This was also one of the main messages, I think, from Ali, our opening keynote speaker. Another thing you said, and I think this was your Amazon story where they interviewed you about your website?
Your startup, yes.
Because first I thought maybe they wanted to figure out how they can make business in the Czech Republic, because obviously you figured this out. But I think your message was, you have a job, you have a LinkedIn or like a history of where you worked, but you also have your personal passion. For many of you, your personal passion is also what you contribute to open source projects, right? We had a presentation today about how you can contribute not only code, but also documentation, templates, demos. Where you find a passionate project, do it and be proud of it, okay? Now, questions. Any questions to David? Any questions? Don't be shy. We have a mic runner here. I have a pressing question, but I hope that somebody else is asking it. Here we go, over there. In the 5th row, all the way over there.
That's far away.
In your steps.
Could you raise your hand?
The left side, yeah.
Hello. I would like to ask, working in such big companies, did you see any unhealthy competition in the structures or people getting promoted?
Yeah, great question. As I mentioned, when I joined Microsoft, it was too big, so definitely not healthy competition, but a huge competition, but not healthy. But other companies, I believe I was really fortunate to join them when they were pretty small, like even Amazon was much smaller than it is today. And everywhere it was really about the impact. To give you an example, at SpaceX, I was working there, I thought that I'm experienced, but after a couple of years working there, suddenly my new boss was a guy who joined a year ago, and he was 20 years old, because he was really putting everything there. He was really working long hours and really making impact. He was basically responsible for configuring the rocket. And that's something that I believe is super healthy, at least for the companies, that you are focusing on the people that really understand it, can own the success, can deliver, and can push the company to the next level. So if I'm always trying to look for the companies like this.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Over there? Yeah, middle.
I guess all companies would say this about themselves, that they focus on impact when making promotions and so on. Do you have any tips for kind of evaluating if that promise is true or not?
Oh, that's a even better question. It's hard, and I would say it's up to the management at the end of the day. Management, maybe even owners, founders, co-founders, to really make sure that whatever people are working for is actually moving the needle, is pushing the company forward. I guess as the company grow, what's really important is to eliminate the hamsters running in the circles, or as we call it sometimes, don't just be busy. We understand that you are busy, maybe with a good purpose, but it doesn't help the company. So really make sure that you can measure what you do and you can align it with the business goals. I know it sounds super generic, but it's pretty much true everywhere. At SpaceX, it could be accelerating launching the rocket. At Netflix, I remember how our colleague figured out how we can coordinate launching. If you guys probably remember House of Cards, it was one of the big series many years ago. And he figured out that the easiest way to launch it would be using Google Sheet, where everybody can contribute at the same time. I know it sounds super simple, but at that time, it really helped us to move forward and skip any kind of complex solutions, and it was a simple Google Sheet. So those kind of things that you would look for that can make a tangible impact on the project, on the company moving forward.
Anything else? Anybody else? Here we go, in the front.
Should there be a ceiling for ICs, or should they even reach C-level stuff?
Or what is the question? Sorry, should
Like individual contributors, if there is a ceiling for them, or should they be up all with the C-level and decision making and stuff?
If there is a seating for them?
The individual contributors at the executive manager level, is that what you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe even many companies, they have this kind of roles of distinguished engineers or architects or technical fellows at Microsoft. Actually, the guy who forwarded me the response from Bill Gates was his technical fellow. And I believe it's really important to have in the management, they call it, or in the career ladders, they call it either you are on the managerial path or the individual contributor path. And I believe every company should have the levels when it comes to the impact, compensation, and everything, both options, ICs and managers as well. Sure.
Any funny story with Elon?
Thanks for asking. So with Elon, I didn't meet him quite often, as I wasn't working on many projects with him. The only project he was kind of involved a couple of times was the autonomous flight termination system, and have actually two funny stories. So one was when people ask me if I met Elon, in my first meeting with Elon, I actually stand next to him in the bathroom. So it was like, hey Elon, great to work for you. And the second thing, second experience was after a year or two when we were actually launching the rocket with the AFTS for the first time. And it went up and safely landed, and we were watching it, and there was, when the rocket is coming back to land, there is the sonic boom, and it's really loud. Probably you heard it sometime with the jets or something. And after the successful landing, Elon was cheering with the champagne with everybody who was standing there in the launch control. And so he was going, there was like a line of people and was like, hey, cheers, congrats. And I was like, okay, now it's my time to prepare my elevator pitch, so I should ask something or say something. And he came to me, so what do you think about the sonic boom? I was like, oh, I almost shit my pants, it was so loud. So that was my kind of only one-to-one conversation with Elon.
Obviously, it seems sometimes he doesn't give a whole lot of shit on many topics these days, but yeah.
Right.
Cool. I would say, David, again, thank you so much. One of the things that I want to recap what you said in your first job with Microsoft, the magic moment was when you raised your hand.
Just raise your hand, absolutely.
Because sometimes we think people around us see what we do and therefore they are putting us into the next position where we should be, into the next role. But that's not always the case, right? You need to stand up, you need to say, this is what I want to do. And I know there's a fear of rejection, because what if you say I want to do this and then rejection comes back? Well, from my perspective, rejection and getting an explanation why is better than sitting and waiting and nothing happens. And that's the same is true for the CFPs, right? Put in a CFP, and even if it's for KubeCon and you get rejected, the positive thing about a rejection is you can always ask, why wasn't I picked? What can I do better the next time? But everything starts with raising your hand. Okay, so very simple thing. I know it's sometimes a little daunting, but this is how you make a career in Microsoft, SpaceX. You might end up at the loo next to the CEO of SpaceX, right? Who knows?
You never know who you will stand next to in the bathroom. So
Exactly.
just raise your hand.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another round of applause.